You do realize that as long as there are humans, the world cannot be fixed. The world doesn't need us. This planet could do better without us, at least in the form that we're in. Certainly we need the planet. We can't survive without it. Yet each one of us seems to think we own the damn thing. It makes no sense the way we act, and yet we keep doing it. We have plenty of psychiatrists and analysts out there that shows that we have different personalities. That some of us suffer from the addiction of greed. Others the addiction of gossip. Others the addiction of doing nothing. There is no hope for us to ever have this dumbass idea of utopia. None whatsoever, as long as we look at this as our world. It's not ours. Now, I can tell you that at some point we'll appear to get along for a couple years with somebody leading us. But after a while we'll find out that they're actually sitting there with plans of world domination, not unifying us humans and having a world of peace. That's not their goal. Just like every other dictator, just like every other president, whatever, socialist, controller, tribe leader, in almost all cases, those that are in power want more power, and for some reason they have this desire to destroy everything else. I'll tell you what, the best thing we could do is blow us all up. But here's how funny that would be. We'd all get together, agree that we're what's destroying the world. So we all humans come together and they drop an atomic bomb on us. Everybody is killed. So we think. But the corrupt will find places to hide in the caves, and each one of them will think or she actually is the only one that survived, or only their little group, and they think that they're gonna now, take over the world the way they want. Of course, they're too stupid to realize that they have nobody to rule over. But then they find out that there's others out there that survived. Do they come together and work together? No. They decide that they're better than the others. And the others have to either submit to them or be destroyed. That's what's happening right now in our government. Neither side wants to give in and admit any part of being wrong. And so they go on this tear to destroy the other side. In the effort to destroy the other side, they're destroying themselves. They're morons. Each one of us is a moron to think that this is going to work itself out on its own. Back in the 60s, it looked very similar in my mind. It looked like the world was coming to an end. because of the chaos and all in the United States. Now can't say about other countries, but in the United States it looked that way because of all the rioting and the young generation going up against the yeah. Anyway, you know what I mean. The establishment. Funny thing is even though maybe some of their motives were, maybe their ways were out of control, the fact is our government was totally corrupt back then. Totally. And the only reason any corruption ever got taken out was because the other side used it to their advantage to try to make one side look worse than the other. It wasn't that one side was worse than the other. They both were corrupt. You know, and I think back now about how they talk so good about Kennedy, yet he's out there banging Marilyn Monroe, and then his brother follows suit. Now, I'm not saying that in many ways he wasn't a good president. However, truly the rules are written, you know, differently depending on who you are. It initially, you might say, were written for the elite, or rich and famous and powerful, and the commoners like us, we were poor and had little to no say. But then it even got to the point that certain people had privileges that others didn't. Something that Kennedy does, that's okay. But if, we'll say, Nixon does that, well, no, that's not okay. If somebody's running for president and gets caught in a scandal, well, that's not okay, and they get thrown out. Why? Just because they got caught before they got in the office? After they get in, it's okay? Oh, all right. I understand now. I didn't have that figured out. You know, we sleep with the devil all the time to try to get our own way. We sacrifice our own morals. I said this in an earlier talk that we grow more disruptive, more we become more self-centered, self-focused, the further we get away from our moral values. Even back in the early 1900s, if you were atheist, you still believed in the moral values, regardless of whether you like to believe it or not. But what's written in the Bible is what we hold to as morals, and they do work. They would work much better if we all accepted that God gave us those moral values. It would work better if we would admit that we have feelings and that we do feel guilt when we do the wrong thing. But we're to the point now that we're even denying that pain that we used to acknowledge and then correct our ways. Nowadays, you can forget that because of our self-centeredness. And, believe it or not, a lot of our people who suffer from depression and things like that take medications that kind of make them even worse. So, you know, it's amazing how we have gotten so far away. And I wonder, what's the whole purpose? Why are we like this? What is it we're going to gain? We only are here for 80 years. I mean, that's nothing. What motivates Putin to try to amass more wealth, to try to gain prestige as a leader, and yet he allows his country to just go to shit? He has a great, you know, group of people. They're great humans. They're no worse, no better than we are, but they are equal, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. What's his name over in China? How many people has he killed? What is he going to do? One day he's just going to die, and he'll be gone. And all that'll be there is for him, for people to say that, you know, he killed millions of people. He created hardship for those who didn't die. And for what? Over here, we're in the opposite stage, but we're going to destroy ourselves. There's no way we can stay together if we're not going to, you know, follow our government. Unfortunately, right now, there's no part of our government that isn't corrupt. There's barely a company out there that isn't corrupt. I dare say that almost every individual in this country has cheated in some way and tried to get ahead of someone else through that cheating, to such a degree that it ends up actually hurting someone else. It's a sad situation, but we have to realize we can't fix this world. Now, I said that there come along some leader that we will believe has got the answer, and for a while, the most part, people will follow him. There'll be people who won't, because they believe that he's the Antichrist. And finally, he will be exposed for who he is. How this all works out and when, I have no idea. In reality, I don't care. I have to live my life, okay? And after him will come the only person in human form who can run this whole world and do it fairly. And that's Christ. And when he comes, he has ultimate knowledge of all of us. And he'll know what the right thing to do for each one of us. How it all works, again, I don't know. I'm just sure that it will. So until he comes, what do? My suggestion is for the most part, we can't fix the world. Now, I think there are people out there that take on the bigger issues, and they may make some headway, or let's put it this way, they slow down our destruction. Sometimes I wish they'd get out of the way and just let us destroy ourselves and be done with it. In fact, I'll share this with you. I believe that Trump was put in power to do just that, slow it down. He's thrown a wrench in the works, and so we might not destroy ourselves as quickly as we thought, or that I would have pictured. In fact, I even know of an article I read that maybe Putin did the same thing because he refused to be part of a one world group or something like that, which then threw a wrench in the works for a single government to manage everything. It would only have been the starting point. It's sort of like the UN or something like that initially, but he said that he wasn't going to be any part of that. So what do? First thing I think is be realistic. The world is coming to some form of end. But there are a lot of people out there that don't need to be destroyed in it. And so we need to reach out to those people. We need to maybe appeal to their common sense initially. And then instill in them that there has to be a spiritual world out there. There has to be. In fact, scientifically, we're to the point that we can't deny it because it's just too much shit going on that we can't explain. And so they're admitting that there's something out there. Now, I can't tell you to be a Christian. I can only assure you that it is the right way to go. I can't tell you that my Christian life has been great, because it hasn't. But I have faith, and I'm not living for this world anymore. Oh, there's still stuff I'd like to have. I mean, there's a car I designed just not long ago. In fact, I have another channel called Design Engineering Ideas. And, you know, I talk about some of the stuff I've come up with. But just like this video, I'm reaching out to people and hoping that maybe sooner or later someone will listen and it makes sense to them. Hey, there's plenty of Bibles in the world. If you want to find out what's going on, read one. There are some good churches around. So, you know, you can check one of them out. Crossroads of Westminster. I'm trying to think of the full name, but probably if you punch that in, you can get some very good information and help. So I'm going to check out at this point. See you all the next time.